And as some of you will know, I've been very busy with my businesses, also very busy with my clients and my community, and also working as a capacity, or in the capacity rather, of doing, coaching and contractual work. So I've been rather busy this year. But what I want to talk to you about is, for those of you that are actually feeling stuck at the minute, some of the things you could do to get unstuck. And this is not going to be one of those presentations where I'm talking at you and, suggesting all of these new things that you need to do. In fact, many of the things that I'll be talking about today are potentially things you've already got on your to-do list. And I'm just going to be giving you a very gentle nudge to help you to really gather your thoughts and think about what it is you need to do to prioritize, right? Because after all, that is what it's about, isn't it? It's about working with your priorities, and it's also about making sure you're focused and consistent. Because a lot of business owners, we're not actually short of ideas. We're just actually stuck on knowing what to do and actually getting it done, or knowing what to do and doing it in the right order. So I'm going to spend just a few minutes talking with you about some of the things you could do in relation to your business to improve your marketing over the next few months. And depending on when you watch this, you may or may not want to respond or engage in the presentation, and that's absolutely fine. If you're quiet, if you're lurking and watching, that's absolutely fine as well. Helps me with my views. So let's get right into it. Feeling stuck, you're in the right place. Who am I, by the way? And some of you may be asking this. I am credible and recommended. I've got over 980 reviews as of yesterday, and these are all over the internet. So whether you're on LinkedIn, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on my website, although the website ones need updating again, or even here on YouTube, you will see a whole range of different client testimonials dated up until literally last weekend. So I'm quite well known in my space as someone who knows their stuff in terms of branding and marketing. I've done nearly 30 years, and I know I don't look old enough, but I've done nearly 30 years of actually working with businesses, either working in the capacity of an employee, which I did for 16 years, as an employed person, working with organizations and helping them with their branding and marketing to, get bums on seats, to help them to coordinate their campaigns, to look at their strategies, to even develop brands from scratch or even revamp brands. And I've done that for nearly 30 years. 16 of those years, I was paid as an employee. So I didn't start my business until 2013. And now what I do is I help small business owners and CEOs to get clarity on what you're doing so that you can move forward in what you're doing and actually get better results. So here's the thing. A lot of us are busy. We've been busy. We've been doing the most, and we've been doing the most for a long time. But when you're being busy, that doesn't actually mean that your business is moving forward. In fact, when you're being busy, sometimes it just means that you're doing things. They're not even necessarily being done in a particular order. Maybe a lot of you are now well on board with the AI, and AI is giving you a whole list of things to do. And as I said very recently in one of my masterclasses, AI could give you a list of like 40 plus different things. Maybe you've prompted it to give you a table. Maybe you've prompted it to give you a timing plan. Maybe you've prompted it to give you lots of different ideas. But what you don't want to do is actually become so consumed with what you're doing that you forget why you're doing it. And that's what a lot of us are doing. We're using AI. AI is giving us a whole range of ideas, and we're thinking that we need to do all of them. So busy bees don't always get things done. We always find ourselves busy, but we don't always get things done. And so I want to talk to you today about some of the ways in which you can actually get better results. Okay? If you're feeling overwhelmed, everything feels really important. Everything feels very much like a priority. You're always feeling like you've got to do that next thing. I spoke to someone literally on Monday, and they were saying to me, "Vee, I've got a to-do list, and that to-do list just hasn't stopped doing." Can you resonate with that? There are a few business owners right now that I know that will play this back or be watching live now that are thinking, "That's me. She's talking about me." And so I want you to think about where you're at right now. If you feel stuck, maybe there's a reason for it. And if you don't feel stuck, then congratulations. But this particular live is for people that feel stuck, a little bit exhausted, and a bit fed up, actually, if we're honest. Some of us are quite fed up from doing all the things and seeing nothing. So think about how you feel when everything feels important, when everything's a priority and you haven't actually nailed down what it is you need to do versus what it is you actually want to do. What does that feel like? Definitely overwhelmed for me. So the important thing to do is get some clarity. Stop looking for things you can do more of. Stop looking for the new followers. Stop looking for the new ideas. and actually knuckle down and work out what it is you can do or what it is you might need to do to improve your results. There's probably quite a few things that you wanted to do since January that you haven't yet done. I'm sure you can think of some of those things right now. Similarly, there are probably quite a few things that you have got on a to-do list that you are procrastinating about, that you haven't yet done, that you are considering doing, or that you might not even know how to get started. What's important is that you get clarity on what you're doing so that you can prioritize what you're trying to do for the next quarter. And depending on when you watch this, whether it's July, whether it's October, whether it's January 2027, all the tips in today's live are going to be useful for you. And I want you to really think about how these tips can help you, but also what you're going to do as a result of watching this particular live. So by the end of the session, you're going to have some ideas of things that you can actually do to get better results. The first thing is get clarity. A lot of businesses do not make progress, usually because we're doing too much, we're overwhelmed, and we're not clear. So get clear on what you're doing. You know, book in a consultation with someone. Speak to me if you want to. Have a one-to-one, because your edge as a business owner, your advantage is that you have clarity. There are so many business owners that don't know what they're doing, but they're doing a lot. They look busy. They're doing a lot. So make sure you're clear on your priorities and what it is you want to do versus what it is you need to do. Also, make sure that you have marketing goals. There are so many business owners that do not yet have marketing goals. And I'm not sure why this is, because if you're doing marketing, you should want it to go somewhere. If you're doing marketing, you should actually want to see an outcome. There should be a desired goal, something you could measure, objectives that you're working towards. So if you're not yet working with priorities and goals and objectives, that would be a really good place to start, right? Start with some goals. You don't need 10. You don't even need 5. Start with one big thing you want to do. It doesn't matter what that thing is. Write it down. Write it down now if you can. Just give yourself a few little notes during this presentation, and then afterwards, you should have some clarity. Get clear on what your priorities are, okay? And start to finish things off. I can tell you that since January, there are quite a few clients who started planning events, quite a few people in my community that started a YouTube channel, quite a few people in my community that have sent 1 or 2 emails, but the consistency isn't there. It's dropped off. The event hasn't been delivered. The emails haven't gone out. So try to finish something off. Give yourself a deadline. One of the reasons why quite a lot of business owners don't see desired outcomes is because there's no plan and there's no deadline. But even more important than that, there's no objectives. So make sure you're working with clear goals of what it is you want to achieve, and most importantly, by when. And then that way, you've given yourself a deadline of when you want to finish everything off. You've given yourself some realistic milestones of what you're expecting to see by when, and what success looks like to you on your terms, because it's not about anyone else's definition of success. What do you want to see? What does success look like to you? Maybe it's sending your first email. Maybe it's getting started up on YouTube. Maybe it's doing your first live stream. Maybe it's creating your first carousel. Maybe it's hosting your first event. Give yourself a goal. Make sure that you're clear on why you're doing what you're doing, but most importantly, when you want to have it finished. Okay, so give yourself clear deadlines. And also, make sure that you are being consistent. I know how many business owners fall off, and I know why. Usually because of accountability, or you're not really that interested, are you, in what it is you're doing? Let's be real. But consistency comes from you doing the same thing over and over again. And if you think about, I mean, if I think about right now, exercise or drinking water, I'm still stuck on those things, guys. And I can admit that. But I also had a conversation with a fitness coach just this morning, and I'm now hopefully going to get back on the bandwagon and try and start up on my drinking more water activities. And, you know, I'll be honest, there's lots of things that I'm inconsistent with. And I'm sure there are things that you could say you're inconsistent with too. But the aim now is consistency. We're now watching, you know, our whole year go by. And some of us really aren't clear on what we're doing or what we should be doing because we haven't got a plan, because we haven't yet thought about what it is you want to do, right? So you've got to get into the habit of planning. You've got to get into the habit of being consistent and getting a routine, because results will come from when you actually have routine and when you're disciplined. And if you can't get that routine and discipline, then definitely look at other options of what you could be doing. Now, Conversations are important, whether you're networking or whether you're having online meetings or whether you're speaking to people that you're following up with, people that are interested in what you do. If you're talking to people via a stage or even via a live stream like I am now, make time to create content and speak to people. And not just looking out for brand new, shiny objects, not just looking out for brand new, shiny opportunities or brand new customers. Don't forget, you've got people within your community, people within your mailing list, people within the events that you're hosting, people within the events that you're speaking at, people that are listening to your podcast who actually do have an interest in what you're doing, who are actually thinking about working with you, who have followed you for a reason. So start having more conversations. A lot of people spend lots of time creating content, doing videos, you know, creating lots of different activities that they don't really need to be doing if actually you focused on what you're working with right now. If you looked at the community that you have right now, if you looked at the people in your mailing list right now and you actually thought, you know what? I could do something with these people. I could actually start a course. I could actually record a podcast series. I could actually do live Q&As by just starting with where you're at right now rather than trying to do something new. You could get better results. And a lot of us are stuck because we are so focused on what we could do that's new and we're not looking at what we've already got. So start having more direct conversations with potential customers. Start thinking about what you could do in relation to marketing over the next few months and give yourself deadlines. Clear goals and deadlines will really, really help you. So tell me, if you're watching now live or if you watch on the replay, what might you go away and do differently? What might you do in terms of what you're working with at the moment? Because some of you are sitting on mailing lists. You know, you've got your website there, you're not using it. You've got your blog, you haven't posted for months. You're thinking about doing a newsletter. You've done one newsletter, but you've not done anything else. Have conversations with people. Ask them what they need. Ask them what they might want help with and get involved. Get active. Write that plan. The more conversations you have is the more opportunities that you've got to actually connect with new audiences. And think about customers, and not in terms of, you know, where's your next sale coming from, but more in terms of how can you help them? How can you benefit them? What could you do differently to support potential customers, existing customers, and even new customers? What are you doing at the moment without you needing to reinvent the wheel? What could you do to create more opportunities and also to offer more value? Because typically what I find anyway is that a lot of my clients are repeat clients. They're people that have worked with me before. They're people that have bought my planner. They're people that have booked onto the Visibility Lab. They're people that have previously done a group coaching and now they want one-to-one coaching. Sometimes they're people that have actually watched me for a long time and then they decide that they actually want to do something else with me. So think about the conversations you're having. Think about how you can actually work with what you've got at the moment. And don't forget the importance of following up. The importance of actually, once you've had those conversations, even if there's no interest, even if it's not about selling and trying to promote something, follow up with people. Actually ask them, you know, how you doing, what you doing, how you getting on. And think about how you can actually benefit them. Maybe it's a complimentary tip. Maybe it's useful information that they could potentially go away and action. Maybe it's referring them to someone else. How could you offer value to people within your community right now? Follow up. That email, that live Q&A session you had, the question that came in via DM, think about how many people you could potentially follow up with, because very often a lot of us aren't actually getting results or seeing outcomes because we are not following up. We're missing opportunities. And it's way more than you just being visible and showing up. It's way more than you just being consistent. It's actually about you having a strategic plan, knowing the platforms or the channels that you want to be on, and not just online, but also offline. Also understanding what your priorities are and working in line with those priorities. And being clear as a small business owner what it is you need to focus on. And visibility is just one of those things, right? Visibility is actually something that a lot of business owners focus on, too much of. Okay, and they're always trying to get new content, new ideas, new customers, and sometimes that can be quite detrimental to your growth. Being visible just means that you might need to have a plan to be more visible, and that could just be something as basic as scheduling. Being visible could mean that you are producing a newsletter every month on LinkedIn, and being visible could mean that you're hosting events. People can't buy from you unless you are being visible and you've got a routine and you've got a structure and there is a plan. And people won't know about you unless you're visible. So you've got to think about how you can be more visible without causing overwhelm. And usually that's by having a routine. Now, LinkedIn is definitely a very great way to give yourself a profile, give yourself some brand authority online, share and be a thought leader, but also position yourself in front of where most of us will find our ideal audiences, our ideal clients. And if you think about the different segments that you serve, or you think about your favorite types of customers that you like to work with, and you just search for them on LinkedIn, you'll probably find that them or their company exist on LinkedIn. So think about how you're using LinkedIn within your marketing plan. And if you don't have a marketing plan, perhaps look at focusing on LinkedIn for maybe 4 to 8 weeks and get a plan together on how you can build a strong and reputable profile on LinkedIn with recommendations, updates, value, and strategic positioning, getting yourself in front of the right groups, audiences, and even individuals, rather than doing things wishy-washy or just showing up now and then. Get yourself into an organized state. Because LinkedIn is actually a platform that a lot of people ignore, as are emails. And sending emails, I got to tell you, if you're not sending emails but you're on social media, you are definitely missing an opportunity. And I will literally argue that point until the cows come home. Email marketing is something that you do not want to ignore if you are somebody who wants to get results online, because everybody is not always on social media. And even if you post something once, if you don't post it again, you could still include it in an email newsletter. And even if you post it several times on social media, having it in an email means that it may go to an email marketing list that are not even linked to your social media profiles. Because you do realize that email marketing lists are not always the same and identical people and audience as those that are on your Facebook or those that are in your LinkedIn community. So email marketing can serve on a number of different platforms. And what you can do is you can start to build a community of people that are on your LinkedIn and lead them to your email newsletters. You can also use LinkedIn newsletters, as many of my clients have done, and build an audience directly on LinkedIn with email or with updates that go via your newsletter and then are emailed to followers of your LinkedIn profile. So there's lots of different ways you could use email marketing, okay? As there are, WhatsApp messaging, SMS text, even instant messaging. But email marketing is definitely something I would recommend, whether you're hosting events or whether you are exhibiting at events, whether you are active online, or even if you're doing videos. Get people to subscribe. Ask people to subscribe to your mailing list, and then make sure that you're sending information via your mailing list. And it doesn't have to be identical to what it is you're already doing on your LinkedIn newsletter, for example. It doesn't have to be identical with what you're sharing on your website blog. It could be something completely different. It could be VIP tips via an email newsletter. So think about how you could use email, and maybe think about the type of content that you could share in your email newsletter. And even beyond your email newsletters, think about content. Think about what you could do in terms of content, and whether or not you are deciding to actively share content with your face showing, or whether you're doing faceless content. Using content to actually provide solutions is top tier, right? If you've got regular questions that are asked of you, if people are always asking you, how do I do X, Y, and Z? Then it makes sense to hint at that through your content. If people are often asking you how you make a product or what ingredients are in your product, it makes sense to do a video around that. Educating and informing people through content is one of the best ways to build an online community. So if you're not already doing that, I would look at your content that you've shared since January and kind of give yourself a quick audit, just to see what type of content you've been sharing, what type of content you've been using to build trust or tell people how great you are, whether you've shared any social proof, like what have you shared that's evidence of what people say about you or your products or your services or your organization, and also what have you shared as like a personal touch? What have you done with people via DMs or via automation to add that personal touch, that personal layer in your content? I want you to think about that, because content is actually a really powerful way of building relationships. And also, as some of you will know, content is a really smart way to sell online. And if you know how to do that, then you can obviously make more sales. And let's talk about video. I've been sharing stats on video marketing, and whether you choose to use long form video or short form video, whether your video is 2 minutes, 58 seconds, or whether it is a longer video that's 10 minutes or even 20 minutes, that's up to you. But video marketing is definitely for the win, because video actually helps people to understand who you are before they even meet you. Even if you're not showing your face, even if you're just doing an audio, video absolutely helps to build relationships and connect you with people just from your tone of voice, your video personality, the way in which you show up, and the value that you share. And can I just say, when it comes to video, if you're not already using video marketing, something I would really recommend is, if you do really long videos, there's a feature on YouTube that you can use to clip really long videos into shorter videos. And then you can use those shorter videos as YouTube clips, which can be shared elsewhere. You can also create YouTube shorts that are 3 minutes or less. And even on Instagram, you can use those same shorts, 3 minutes or less, to share your content as a trial reel, or a video that's less than 3 minutes, a trial reel. And that will be shown to new audiences rather than going to existing audiences. And I'll be teaching all of this very soon in my coaching program. So if you want to know more about this, please do message me or leave a comment and I'll send you over some information. But you want to be thinking about what you can do in terms of video marketing. If you're not using it, or if it's inconsistent, or if you're not really sure what to share, or you're not sure how to sell through video, I definitely recommend you think about how you're going to use video for this year. If you're not using it actively and consistently, look at how you can include it in your marketing plan. Look at how you can actually get your content into videos. And it doesn't even have to be, if you don't like your face on video, it doesn't have to be your face on video. If you don't like the sound of your voice on video, it doesn't need to be the sound of your voice on a video. Like, there are tools like CapCut that can change your voice, your tone. There are tools that can also, like HeyGen, for example, that can create video content for you. You don't have to be doing the most on video anymore, especially with AI tools and lots of other tools like Canva AI, for example, that will help you to actually build content without you needing to be the star of the show. So if you're a little bit shy, or if you're someone who doesn't really want to be showing up as yourself on screen, animate, illustrate, use audio. There's lots of different ways in which you can do this, right? And focus. You've got to focus. Remember, I spoke earlier about using video, having deadlines, having content, using platforms like LinkedIn, using platforms like email marketing, making sure that you are working with SMART goals. And by that, I don't mean the textbook version. I just mean making sure that you've got goals that are realistic to you, because you define your own success. And I mean measurable goals that are realistic to you, not what the gurus told you, right? You've got to look at what you can manage with your capacity, because again, if a lot of you are using AI and referring to AI, AI doesn't always know about how much resources you've got available, or how you work, or when you're most likely to drop the ball, or your capacity at the moment. So it will give you a whole list of things, and sometimes it's that very list that will overwhelm you. So what can you focus on in the next quarter? What could you focus on? Because the businesses that grow the fastest, statistically proven, are the businesses that are actually focused on doing fewer things and not more. And that's why I said at the start of this particular live that once you're clear on what you're doing, or what your needs are versus what your wants are, because there is a difference, that is when you're going to get the best outcomes. But you've got to be clear on what your desired outcomes are in the first place. You can't just be working from thin air, hoping to see results. Testing. Some of you will be testing from January right through to next year, January, because you haven't been committed enough to get into a routine, be disciplined, work with a plan, or even ask for help. And this is where accountability, certainly in my experience, can benefit so many of you. Having someone that you can rely on for reliable advice, having someone that has been working with entrepreneurs like you that can give you tips and information and advice, having someone who has the expertise that isn't textbook, that isn't airy fairy, but actually bespoke to you and your goals and what you've told them that you want to do. That makes all the difference. So you know what to do and you're actually doing it. Yeah? You're not just knowing what to do and just stuck and not doing anything. You've got the momentum, you've got the plan, you're clear on what you're doing, and you've got someone consistently checking in with you. That weekly call or that monthly live or that accountability session, or even the opportunity for you to ask questions and get the answer right there in that moment, or even get the answer, within 24 hours, makes a huge difference in terms of the outcomes that you can get. And over time, actually, when you have a plan, even if it's teeny tiny things, remember I said earlier, it doesn't need to be 10 marketing goals. Over time, what you might find is that you can actually create momentum from very small actions, right? And that could be something as simple as getting up every day and recording yourself live, or getting into the habit of doing one newsletter a week, or actually creating a marketing plan and then executing it. These are small actions, and some of us will procrastinate over doing just those small actions or even committing to those. And those are the things that can really change the way in which you show up and the results that you get for the rest of the year. So I want you to think about accountability, and I want you to think about, if you had accountability, if you had an expert on hand, what do you think you'd want to improve in terms of your marketing? What would you choose? For some of you, it might be email. For some of you, it might be, looking at your content. For some of you, it might be completely revamping your brand, or looking at your messaging and how you actually attract clients. For some of you, it could be your offers, developing offers, something that we do regularly in the Visibility Lab. For some of you, it could be, looking at how you are creating the content and actually selling to people consistently. Maybe you are really good at creating an offer, but you don't know how to sell it. Or you sell it once and you're not really sure how to sell it again. Or you don't even have a process in place in which to upsell or sell to new audiences. What could you do if you were to focus on one area of your marketing? What would you choose to work on? I'm going to ask you that right now. I want you to let me know if you watch the replay, or you can message me privately, because I know some of you are very shy. What might you think about doing in terms of your marketing? I think once you make a decision to commit to doing something, and once you make a decision to get into a routine and really go for it, that is when you start to see better results. And in fact, I know that because the clients that I work with, when I work with them, they come to me, some of them confused. They come to me and they're not really sure what they should be doing. They come to me and they're not really clear of what strategy they should be using, or even if the audience that they're targeting, if there's a reason why they're not buying. And they need that clarity. They need that structure. So I want you to think, if you could get that structure and the clarity, what would you look at? And then what would you implement? Because you actually do not need another notebook full of ideas. You don't even need my planner with lots of notes in it. What you need to do is implement the ideas you've already got and look at that to-do list. What you need to do is think about what you can do and break it down. If it's 30 days, if it's 60 days, if it's 90 days, break it down. It'll be so much easier for you. You just need to implement the ideas you've got, because some of you have sat on ideas since this time last year, and some of you have sat on objectives and goals and desires since January this year, and the goalpost hasn't moved. The results haven't come in, but you still feel like you're doing a lot and you're really, really busy. So let's talk about this, right? If you could implement and work with a coach, 30 days just to focus on what you're doing, 30 days to focus on how you're showing up, maybe getting yourself set up or improving the way in which you use LinkedIn and YouTube, maybe how to actually start creating content that converts, content in a way that with support from an expert, you can actually sell online rather than just posting and nobody interacting. You're actually talking to your ideal clients and selling to them online. Live coaching, accountability, and support from an online group. If you had that, what could that do for you? 30 days to just focus with a marketing expert, someone that understands branding, how to build a brand, how to work with a budget, someone that can actually coach and guide you to get the best results possible over a fixed period of time. That's what I'm offering today as part of the Visible, Seen and Paid program. What you'll get from me is weekly live coaching, as well as training on areas like LinkedIn, email marketing, YouTube, and also content and how to sell with content. You'll also get a one-to-one strategy with me in a session online, as well as accountability and support and access to recordings. Now, if you watch this back and you're thinking, my gosh, this is something I need, I'm thinking about it, I've been watching Vee for a while, or, I need to get on this, I want you to reach out today because there's only a few spaces. I'm not doing a very big group. If you've worked with me before, then you'll know that what I offer is a very bespoke service. Even though it's in a group, you will feel like you are being coached one-to-one. It's personal because I want you to get results. It's time to focus and actually hold yourself accountable so that you can get branding and marketing support and maybe brush up in a few areas, but also try to work on the areas that you've had on your to-do list since January. A lot of us are sleeping on areas in our marketing that go beyond social media. A lot of us are not paying attention to key areas in social media that could be growing our business, but because we're either not sure how to use these platforms or we haven't yet dabbled in them. And I'm giving you the opportunity to work with me for 30 days to actually focus. If you're interested in that, I want you to reach out now. There is an early bird rate on at the moment, and that rate will increase shortly. We get started in just a few weeks, so please do message me if you're interested. It's called Visible, Seen and Paid. Some of you will have seen the reviews already from previous cohorts right here on this YouTube channel, and if you're listening to this via a podcast or via someone else's platform, then if you want to see some of those reviews, you just need to go to my Facebook or my Instagram or my YouTube channel for Insight to Marketing, and it's all there. Don't wait hoping for results to come in. Get the help if you really do want to improve what you're doing. Approach an expert, work with someone who actually cares about your results and makes you feel seen, listens and responds to your bespoke needs for your business. That's what I want to offer you today, and I hope that whether you need the coaching support or not, this particular live will have you thinking about what you can focus on and maybe what you could work on over the coming weeks, because some of you will slow down and that's absolutely fine. I'm not here saying, go, 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 go. But what I am saying is prioritize the priorities. Make time for what's important. Because if you know the sales aren't coming in and you've been very busy, but not focused enough and working without structure, you don't have a plan, there's no kind of budget, there's no kind of organization, that's what you need in order to see change and grow your business. So I thank you very much for listening. If you need to speak to me, my email is on this slide here. If you are listening in, it's admin@insighttomarketing.com. Email me with the word visible, seen and paid, and we'll make sure that we send you over information. When you do email, please make sure that you send over a link to your business and also a link to your social media or your website, because Visible, Seen and Paid is for registered business owners. It's an online program, but you must have a registered business, okay? And also, it's a program for people that are ready to take action. So if you know there's something that you want to work on, if it's branding and marketing related, you could absolutely do that with me within the 30 days. And there are going to be 4 trainings that are delivered within the program, within the 30 days, around LinkedIn, content that converts, email marketing, and YouTube. So if you want to get on board, make sure that you message me for more information. Thanks very much for watching, and I will speak to you soon.